All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to GHP Podcast. Tonight we have a very special guest.
Really looking forward to it.
We are way out of our league, way out of our
Way.
element here.
Yeah.
An actual politician, a former California State Assembly member. His name is MIke Gatto. You've probably seen him on every major news outlet ever. He was I think in around 2016, I think was his last year he served on the assembly, and he has now been working for basically the city of LA, managing a lot of things, working with mayors, working with all the entities that are moving and grooving over there in LA. He has a really incredible take. He's a Democrat, and I think from what I can tell, a very, very level-headed, um, very realistic Democrat. Some would say an old school Democrat.
Yeah. It's
Um,
very nice listening to him talk. It's a really good
yeah,
perspective to actually have somebody that's seems like they're on a straight wavelength and they're not just going off of what everybody around them saying.
sure. Yeah, yeah. It's so we're very excited to talk to him.
Looking forward to
So
it.
we're waiting for him to jump on the Zoom right now, and we'll see you in a minute with our conversation with MIke Gatto. Welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. We're already recording, but yeah, seriously, thanks for coming on, man. It was wild that you reached out to us. I will, in all honesty, saw the email and thought, this
Yeah.
isn't real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, podcasts are the most democratized form of media, right? And
Yep.
I'm on national TV a couple times a week, but I think you reach different audiences with podcasts. You reach people who
Yeah.
are really into a certain subject matter, and I think it's really cool.
I agree. It's awesome to have a way of being able to search stuff out and having different opinions and outlooks and without podcasts, it's really, really, really hard to find stuff that is unbiased, although you can definitely
Sure.
find a lot of biased stuff if that's what you want to look for.
Yeah, and you could argue that the news is like plain vanilla, but podcast is the exact flavor that you want. People go out
Yeah.
and look for, something that they want to listen to. And so I don't know. I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
So just
course.
to kind of get this going, what I would like to know, like a little bit of your background. Obviously, we talked on the phone a little bit. You grew up in LA. You're an actual LA person. You've
Yeah.
been there your whole life.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talked about your background a little bit growing up out there and stuff like that. What was that? Give us a quick rundown on where you grew up and what was going on.
So I grew up in the Silver Lake neighborhood before it was trendy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's gone through all these different phases, right?
Yeah.
It like went to like hipster to like expensive to like, whatever. And you could argue it's getting a little rough around the edges again, but
Oh, okay.
grew up in Silver Lake before it was trendy.
Mhm.
You're not going to believe this, but if you saw me when I was 17 to 21, I had long, reddish brown hair
Nice.
Yeah.
that was like, I looked like Encino Man. I mean,
Nice.
I was a mess,
Yeah.
but way into metal. And,
Yeah.
I think some people still make fun of me and they never guess my musical taste. I
Yeah.
really, I have a fun time when I meet somebody and they say, "Oh, like, what are you into?" And I say, "Guess." And they never guess.
Yeah. They
I
never
can
do.
relate 100% to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Really?
I'm a complete hip hop head. And
No.
I've been a hip hop head since the 80s. I mean, when
Wow.
it started, I was into hip hop, and there's nobody that looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're into hip hop, huh?"
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So growing up back then, obviously a metalhead, you know what I mean? What do you have a memory of a first metal show you went to or anything like that?
So I went to Judas Priest. I went to Iron Maiden. I
Nice.
went to some early Guns N' Roses shows.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that counts as like
Oh, it
metal. It's more
absolutely
of a
Yeah, it
hair
definitely
band.
does.
count it, dude. Now it
Um,
counts for sure, you know?
you know,
Yeah.
I the best show that I ever went to. I mean, this wasn't when I was super young, but I went to a show where I want to say it was Megadeth was the yeah, it was like I don't remember who the headliner is. That's how good of a show it was. But I was
Mhm.
there to see Megadeth, right? I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
Yeah,
Megadeth circa 1990 is like
Yeah.
my pinnacle of musical achievement in my
Totally,
opinion.
dude. And
that's a good one.
you told me you're a big Megadeth fan still to
Yeah.
this day.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, Dave Mustaine, he just people love to hate him, but I think he
Sure.
writes good lyrics, and I think the music's just different, more creative than other bands, whatever. So I like
Yeah.
it.
As a guitar player, you know what I mean? I've been a metalhead my whole life, you know what I mean? I also like hip hop. I like everything now, but
Sure, yeah.
I always Mustaine has such a unique style, and the
Yeah.
lyrics, for a metal band, are about shit. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
always about political turmoil or war or
Yep.
what, always written in metaphor. And that's kind of where I lean towards writing wise, you know what I mean? Always taking whatever's happening in my life and turning them into metal lyrics, which a Metallica guy, I love them, you know what I mean? But I mean,
Yeah.
it's about, yeah, they have their political songs, stuff like that. But Mustaine has always been very thoughtful with his lyrics, you know what I mean? Lyrical content. And then just the phrasing of his guitar work is crazy, you know what I mean? Still,
Yeah.
you can't even mess with it,
For
you
sure.
know?
And my stomping grounds, as a teenager and in my early 20s was that sort of part of East Hollywood and Central Hollywood where all these clubs are and where, like, I mean, I could point out, oh, this was the building where Guns N' Roses lived, or this was the building
Hmm.
where Metallica lived with Dave Mustaine before they kicked him out and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
surreal because it was like, you feel like that side of LA is
Mm.
gone.
Yeah.
And it's just gone. Like people don't care anymore. It's not something that people obsess with. And it's also back then, like, there was no like internet. Like now you can look up like where does Kim Kardashian live, right? And everyone
Right,
knows where
right.
she lives. But back then it like kind of felt extraordinary to know some of this stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. I mean, it just it's so funny because I as an old guy who's out of touch now still, I always feel like that. And then as my kids get older now, they're getting into music and live, and it's thriving. It's still thriving everywhere.
it is.
Our
That's
just old
true.
asses don't know about it. You know
Yeah.
what I
That's
mean?
true.
So,
Well,
And it's not our
well,
job to know about. You know what I mean?
so
yeah. No, but one of the weirdest realizations, and you guys tell me, I mean, if you've gone, I'm sure you guys have gone through this realization too, is like when I was coming up, I kind of I kind of looked up to and made fun of the guys who were like, oh man, like I was there when Rush played, blah, 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 and
Hmm.
like
yeah.
Led Zeppelin, and
Hmm.
you're like, yeah, okay, like, but we still listen to that music because it was about, 20 years before us. And we're like,
Hmm.
oh, this is like so cool, blah, blah, blah. When I go to the gym now, the 25-year-olds are playing Guns N' Roses. Like
Totally.
that's
Yeah.
all that they
Yeah,
play.
that's weird.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is so cool. And I feel like being like, oh man, I was there at the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like
dude, and if you tell
something
one
one
of
of those old
kids,
guys.
if you
Yeah.
tell one of those kids, dude, I saw Guns N' Roses, they're going to be like, what, dude?
Yeah.
Right,
Please
like
tell
the
me
original
everything.
lineup, right? Yeah, in a small
Yeah.
club. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So do you think like because you're down in LA and probably right after COVID or a couple years after COVID, I went down there and I really like to go check places out and I like to go to different bars and different clubs and just, and do it
sure.
4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I went down there probably in 23 or something, and everything was closed. I mean,
Yeah.
is there a resurgence down there at all, or is it still just kind of that's it? They're just gone.
I mean, I feel like some of the legendary places, people are aging out of them and just people are just not going as much anymore. And
Sure.
then, dating apps, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in our era, you would go to clubs and you would find people with mutual interest. We both are into this band and you'd strike up a conversation and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't happen anymore. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
meets on clubs. Even if you go to some bars, you'll see people staring at their dating app. And it's
Yeah,
like
it's pretty
it's
wild.
just surreal. And like you feel like you can't strike up a conversation with people anymore. And it's just so no, I think the nightlife scene is definitely less than it used to be like
Sure.
in our
Yeah.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, I mean, as far as you obviously grew up in LA, you care about LA, you care about California. What got you into politics? What was there a thing that made you go, dude, I'm doing this?
Yeah. So I would wake up every day, and this was okay. This was like 2009.
Hmm.
So there were still paper newspapers, and I would, shake my fist at the newspaper because I could not believe what the folks in Sacramento were doing. I just
Right.
felt like the government could do better. Both parties could do better.
Hmm.
We could elect a government that had a little bit more common sense, particularly on fiscal issues. And I
Sure.
know everyone's like, right? I mean, like you start talking about this and it puts everyone to sleep. But I was always amazed when you meet people in politics and they're like, I got into politics because my issue is education, or my issue is this, or my
Mm.
issue was how to make the whole thing work better.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you can make the government more efficient. You can make the government function better. You'll have more money for potholes and for education and for this and for that. And so, but not a sexy issue, but I was so upset. This was the height of the Great Recession.
Hmm.
And, our government was scrambling for everything. We're pulling people off kidney dialysis machines because we didn't have the money.
Right.
And, I just said, I can do better. I could do better. I could do better. And then at some point, another voice in my head said, okay, I think I'm allowed to curse, right?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Let
Yeah.
it rip, brother.
A voice in my head said, okay, motherfucker, like you
Yeah.
think you can do better? Go out and do better. Give up your cushy job. Give up
Right.
your, 20-minute commute to downtown LA. Now your commute's going to involve a jet, but you think you can do better? Put your money where your mouth is. Go run for office. Try to convince people to vote for you and see if you can do better.
Yeah.
I did. And by some miracle, I won. It takes
Yeah.
a lot of luck. I mean, seriously, like
Yeah.
I don't think I was the favorite by any stretch, but I won and I served 4 terms in the
Yeah.
California. So
Yeah, and when you get so here's where I'm fascinated. You get into this right as an outside, like a complete outsider, essentially. Are you shocked at how messy it is? I mean, because that's how I feel looking out. And like, or is it? I know California is different than DC. Obviously, there's a major difference there, right? But I mean, was it as broken as you thought, or is it work? It's probably smoother than you thought. You know what I mean, as far as it goes, just the
great
overall
question.
experience.
So I'll try to give your audience a little bit of very honest, window into how bad it is and also why it's that bad, but for a logical reason.
Got it.
Some people, by the way, I'll preview this by saying some people, when I say the second thing, they're so black and white that they get upset at it, but we'll see how you guys react. So the first thing is yes. The thing that really breaks your heart when you get into it is that the legislature, and this is true in every state and the federal Congress, tends to be like scared sheep, or scared cows. They will stampede in one direction. And what I've found is that there are moments where there's a lot of lack of courage, there's a lot of cowardice and a lot of stampeding. And then every once in a while, you can have 1 or 2 courageous people actually make a difference. And like you say, I'm not going to do this. And then people are like, wow, he didn't die. The lions didn't eat him. He's still here. And you really can make a difference. But the amount of people who just go along and get along is shocking. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Like there's this article comes out every year, and the names change, but the theme remains the same. In California, counting committee votes and floor votes and everything like that, California lawmakers take about 2,500 votes a year.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
That's crazy.
And every year it comes out that there's about 5 members of the legislature who didn't vote no on a single bill. And you just imagine go on a road trip with your best friend and say, give me 10 good ideas, much less 2,500.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just imagine that these folks did not vote no on a single bill.
Right.
That's what I mean by stampeding, right?
It's a definition of a yes man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
You know what I mean?
We can't be around each other for 10 minutes and agree on anything.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Right. Yeah. It shows that you're not paying attention, or you just want to get on the golf course, or you know, whatever. But now I'm going to make the case why sometimes you have to plug your nose and go along. So, I have a buddy, I'm not going to mention his name, but his political career was born of great tragedy. He had a very close relative die in a horrendous accident that could have been avoided. And so his mission in life, when he got to legislature, he cared about one issue only, and it was improving transportation safety. Now, you just imagine you've been working on an issue, a controversial issue. It could be whatever you care about the most. Everybody can think about that issue. And you've been working on it for 10 years. And for 9 years, it has failed. It has failed. Every year you cannot get the key votes. Now it's the 10th year. You got the coalition going. And your bill, your baby, the reason you ran for office, and a bill that does good by most accounts, it's coming up before Mr. Smith's committee. And he's the chairman of the powerful committee. Now, Mr. Smith has a bill before you the week before, and his bill sucks. I mean, it is so stupid, clearly written by special interests, probably not in the best interest of the state. What do? Do you say, the reason I ran for office, to prevent deaths, or, whatever your issue is, I'm going to totally screw all those Californians who are counting on me for that, because I'm going to just say, oh, this bill is no good. And no, most good lawmakers will vote for Mr. Smith's horrible bill so they can do some good with their bill. And listen, I know there's audience members right now being like, oh my God, that's awful. That's the way it is, folks.
Well, the world built on compromise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and quid pro quo is a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a sexual assault, but you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Right. Right.
but yeah,
Right.
I mean, for anyone to assume that for me is like as a semi-educated, mostly dumb voter, even I don't assume that you can live and die on one single issue and it's gonna, you know what I mean, gonna get through if
Yeah.
you have a mission,
But
right?
it doesn't, it shouldn't, your good bill where you're trying to do something that's really positive and helpful, you shouldn't have to give up
I know.
your
Right.
morals or your stance on something just to get this other guy's
Right.
vote who's
I know.
garbage,
Yeah.
and that's where we
I
see
know.
that constantly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
But I
know?
mean, I had a lawmaker. I did a bill that had to do with senior citizen visitation. Like when a senior
Mhm.
citizen is dying and the kids cannot get into that senior citizen's house because like a stepmother has like closed like pretty much motherhood and apple pie, right? Nobody's going to argue that like your grandmother should die without seeing
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
right? And, but there was a chairwoman who had the stupidest bill come before me and I killed it in my committee. And she killed my bill without, I mean, without
Without even
blinking an
looking at
eye,
it. Yeah.
without
Wow.
blinking an eye,
Yeah.
and made it very clear why she did it.
Yeah.
And it was like, so it happens.
Yeah,
Stuff
you could
happens.
kind of just chalk it up to, well, that's politics, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like I said, with this many people to manage, there's no one's going to be happy all the time, right? And for me, like
correct.
speaking as a pretty much a lifelong Democrat, who has in the last few years been completely disillusioned with the Democratic Party, honestly disgusted as much as I am the Republicans all the time. Um, what do you think, like going forward, right? Obviously, election went the other way, went to Trump, who I got my qualms with, and all that being a union worker and all the many things
Yeah,
that all the weird shit he's doing, honestly. Um,
sure.
but watching the Democratic Party ice Bernie twice, destroy
Yeah.
RFK, who I like, you know what I mean? I don't agree with everything he does either, but in the general direction of what, how do you feel the Democratic Party's state is now, and like what are they going to do to move forward? Like,
Yeah, so I think the Democratic Party has failed several ways. Same thing with you, lifelong Democrat. And I believe in the basic premise of the Democratic Party, which is when I was coming up, it was the Democratic Party believes in a fair shake for everybody. We're not for the country club dwellers in Connecticut.
mhm.
We're not for, Wall Street, whatever. We're just fair shake for everybody, like
Yep.
even playing field. I think we've made a bunch of mistakes, and I'll cite three of them that I think are the most important. The first one is we are hurting or killing or working against candidates who are authentic.
Right.
With, I mean, political scientists pretty much agree on this. You had trust in government, and then you had assassination of JFK, Vietnam War, assassination of RFK and MLK, Watergate. And I'm off screen with how low the trust in government is.
Yeah.
Iran Contra, right? It keeps getting lower and lower. So what voters trust is someone who speaks what's on their mind, right? They don't
Right.
like the word salad bullshit. They don't like the I've got to pause for 10 seconds and say something with all these $5 words. They just want people who are real. It's the only thing you can trust, right? And like if you look at Bernie and Donald Trump, the guys who sparked movements in 2016, they have
Mhm.
one thing in common. Their politics are way different. They say what's on their mind,
Yeah.
right? And so voters kind
Authenticity.
of, yeah, authenticity.
Yeah.
So I think we're not nominating authentic candidates. Number two, we spend so much time reacting, right? If you're on a schoolyard and a bully says, you're sleeping with goats, and you're like, I'm not sleeping with goats. Matter of fact, like I have a pet dog, I have a pet sheep. Like you've already lost, right? I mean, you've
Yeah.
already lost like that
Yeah.
fight. And Trump will say something and we react.
Right.
And so he's defining the narrative. So I think Democrats have completely failed there as well. And then I also think we've lost like the messaging from like really simple, easy to understand messages, which is, we're for a fair shake for everybody. We want to make
Right.
sure that working people have good futures, good jobs. Simple message. Like I understood that when I was 14 years old. We've gone into all these like weird, like little tiny little issues on this and that. And that's a mistake. That's a
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah, because I mean, even with what's going on in New York right now, I think the election is tomorrow, right? And I'm gonna
Yep.
screw this guy's name up, Zocan. I don't know, but I've watched some
Right.
stuff with him, and he is taking a book out of Donald Trump's, taking the plays out of his book and saying, not only do I not have an answer. I have an answer. We're going to do this, this, and this. And people can get behind a belief, a thing. You know what I mean? Whereas
For sure.
for me, what it is the reaction to just Trump and how he moves, you know what I mean? I just see a lot of fucking crying, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And not a lot of movement. It's like, okay, well, what the only way to beat a bad idea is with a good one. So let's see
Yep.
your great idea. Let's see your great
Yep.
candidate. You know what I
Totally
mean?
agree.
You know,
And
is
and,
there
and
anyone right now in your mind in the Democratic
no.
Party that not a person? Great.
No. I
Yeah.
mean,
Nice.
like,
Awesome.
but the point, what I do
Yeah.
remind people though is like
Yeah.
this time in the election of Barack Obama, I want to say Barack Obama was a state senator. He had
Sure.
not gotten
Yeah.
elected to the U.S. Senate yet. And I always joke that like there could be somebody running for lieutenant governor of Iowa, whose name we've never heard,
Right.
who will be the front runner in 2028. I mean, it's just hard to know. But going back to what you said about ideas, I really believe that is part of the problem. It's like right now in cities, people don't feel safe. They don't
Right.
feel safe because there's more murders, there's less murders, but there's more property crime. And people aren't reporting it, and the police aren't taking reports, and the DAs aren't prosecuting people. And there's a whole chain of like whatever. But everybody agrees there's way more property crime and way more like quality of life crime, robberies,
Right.
burglaries, things like that. And it's like, nothing would have stopped a Democratic mayor from saying, I'm going to shake up the police force. We're going to do more community-based policing.
Right.
People feel unsafe. I'm going to set up a volunteer force to pick up litter. Nothing would have stopped people from grabbing that bull by the horns and doing that issue. But we sat around and waited for Trump to say the cities aren't safe. He was hearing it. He put his thumb in the wind and heard this from people he knew that lived in cities.
Yeah.
And then he calls out the guard. And yeah, it's unconstitutional. Is this that? Yes. But to people who don't study things that closely, he's doing something. He's got an
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing
And it
would
may
have
be
stopped
bad.
Democratic mayors.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
and-
probably going to turn out bad. Who, you know what I mean? With all the in Oxnard specifically, all the ice shit that's going on in the fields
Yep.
is fucking horrendous. You know what I mean? I work next to those fields. They're the hardest working people
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
Yes, I'm sure some of them are criminals and people get caught up in the lineup, but it's like the guy has he's putting forth something, you know what I mean? And it's not great, but and he would never apologize for it. You know what I mean? That's the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
His side, but it is wild, you know what I mean?
And are the mainstream media on either way, they don't do anything at all to help, as far as like you're saying. Like you're right, as far as like the crime and where the crime is at is lower and it's not as bad. But if you watch any type of media, it is nothing but this murder or this home invasion robbery that's just way past what's really going on. So they just continue to keep people scared with,
Yeah.
with whatever they pick for the week to just keep people, not paying attention to what's really going on underneath the ground, but just what they can do to keep you scared of what's in front of you.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people don't actually know what's going on in San Francisco or LA.
Of course not.
I go
Right.
to LA, and if I was watching just the news, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
But I go down there and I have a good time. We go to the art
Right.
district, go get food, we go check out a show, we go check out an art show, and we have a great time.
Yeah.
But if I was in Kansas, I would think that it is,
Right, the big city.
apocalyptic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we only have you for a short time. I had two things I wanted to get your take on. The government shutdown. What the fuck? What's going on here? This is where everyone that is in the middle hates every politician. Everyone's finger pointing, everyone's blaming each other. Do you have a take on it? Is there any sense made of this?
Well, my take on it is that, first of all, the world is laughing at us. This is not something that the United States should be doing.
Right.
We should be paying our bills. We should be functioning. We should be keeping the biggest economy and biggest government in the world going, right? And you can completely understand why people are so mad.
Right.
I mean, it's like, how is it possible that Washington has this much gridlock? How is that possible?
Right.
And why is it possible that it doesn't seem like anybody can really take the lead on this and get some headway? So I don't know. This is another thing where, like, when I was coming up, there was a hard and fast rule. Democrats don't play that game. We don't shut down the government. This was something that Republicans only did. And now it's sort of become, and this is a theme in the last 20 years, political tactics that used to be shock tactics, articles of impeachment,
Right.
they're now just another tool in the toolbox. And
Right.
I fear that government shutdowns are becoming just another tool in the toolbox.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I have family members that work jobs and rely on SNAP benefits and have Medi-Cal, and I have a niece that is 10 years old that's a diabetic, you know what I mean, and they're
Yeah.
about to lose shit, you know what I mean, and it's all because everyone is finger pointing. And everything you see, it's like Democrats are blaming the Republicans, Republicans are blaming and none of them seem to care. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
one of them's on vacation, the other one is voted down the thing 19 times. You know what I mean? You're like,
Correct.
what is happening here? What do we have to do? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
always said, just stop paying taxes, dude. Just go exempt on your W-4.
That would be
About
great.
See,
Yeah.
I had a great, that's been I go from the civil disobedience standpoint.
It's
Stop
great.
paying
It's great
for it.
until they
You know what I
come
mean?
get you at the end of the year.
They can't get 20 million of us, can they?
That's true, especially with the IRS not having money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you hopefully see a way out? I mean, do you see anything in sight? I mean, I don't know how close your ear is to the ground to DC, but
No, my ear was pretty close to the ground a couple of weeks ago because I was making inquiries about it. And unfortunately, I was hearing rumors it was going to go on for a long time. Now, that prediction has come true,
yeah.
but I don't have any intel about the next couple of weeks. My guess is there, for whatever reason, I mean, it's not like there's any national elections of note. You got the California election tomorrow, the New York election. But my guess is after election day, people will focus on it a little more. I don't know why that is. This is the way politicians are.
Is there, and then maybe you know this, maybe you don't, is there a way to fund benefits without doing the government, wrapping it into a government shutdown? I mean, because that's what you hear Trump saying, that he's talking to the lawyers about seeing if they could fund it. Military families, the Democrats are saying you can absolutely release the funds, the emergency funds.
You
I mean,
absolutely
is
could.
that it is possible to do that? Now,
Yes,
would it only
absolutely.
fund it for a month?
You could even do a bill that just focused on those narrow issues and say, okay, we all agree on this. Like, but the thing is, I think both sides at this point want the pressure. They want the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to see whoever comes out victorious on the waiting game, I guess.
Precisely.
Gambling with all of us, it's wild to me, man. I was like, oh, fuck it. You're the only real true politician I've ever talked to in my life. So I appreciate
That's
you.
crazy. Wow.
Well, it's
not like they're easy to get a hold of. It's
Yeah,
not like
most
they're
of them
really
are.
easy to talk to. And we both have families
yeah,
that we have,
Sure.
not just our little family that's the two kids and our wife. We have big families
Huge
that
groups
we
of
help
families.
Sure.
support and take care of.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, man.
But no, I wasn't blaming you. I was blaming the politicians.
No,
because
Yeah.
When I was in office, I mean, listen, my district was 500,000 people. It was cities of Glendale, Burbank, Los Angeles, part of, Hollywood, Silver Lake, Los Feliz, et cetera, La Cañada, La Crescenta, Angeles National Forest, North Hollywood, right? Big district. My staff would always give me like, oh, we're going to the chamber. I said, no, I'm not going to the chamber anymore. I don't want to go to the chamber. I don't want to go to the party club meetings. Send me to the car clubs. Send me to the PTA. I want to meet people who don't meet politicians. You could spend 10 years in office and see the same people at the chamber and shake the same hands and have it be so incestuous and have them all kiss your ass.
Yep.
And never meet a real human being, never meet a real voter. And so at some point I was like, nope, not doing it anymore. I want you to get me. And I would do 7 events a day. And I would try to go to places where they had never seen a politician. And I'll tell you, the look on the guys' faces when you show up at a car club, they're like, what? A politician showed up at our car club?
I'd be blown away.
when he
but
showed
it's
up
like,
at this podcast, I was like, what?
Yeah,
well, no, but
shit.
you know what? That's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's
You
amazing,
can't
man.
be in
Yeah.
touch with what the average person is thinking unless you're talking to voters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one more thing. I know you got to get out of here. Prop 50 is tomorrow.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this? I don't know.
Wildly confused.
I don't know what.
And we
it
both
feels like
trying to figure
gerrymandering
it out.
for the other side. You know what I mean? What is going? Do you have a take on it? Do you think it should
So-
go one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, my take is that my heart is broken. I mean, like,
Right.
I get it. I understand. We are doing it in California in reaction to Texas. Totally get it. Totally get it. They should not be doing their thing. They're breaking with a norm. It goes back since the dawn of our country, which is you do this every 10 years. And they're breaking one of our cherished norms, and now it's going to be another partisan tool. But then again, I always grew up, two wrongs don't make a right. An eye for an eye makes everyone blind. I mean, we're sort of getting to that point in our country, right? Where, if it's okay to do it mid-decade, why not every 2 years? Why don't we just have a perpetual redistrict? Like,
it opens the gates. Yeah.
And I just would not be surprised if we do have these type of battles again and again and again. And I don't know that it's going to result in the most engaged voters, because if you're going to the polls as a Democrat in Texas or a Republican in California, and you're saying my vote does not matter,
Right.
you're just not going to give a shit. And
Right.
lack of civic participation, that's a danger for our country. So
Yeah, because it feels like California is getting redder and redder as it goes. I mean, you saw with this last election how much
yeah,
California is really switching. You know what I mean? Weren't they in danger of already losing a couple seats anyway?
yeah, oh yeah,
Right. So with this, it feels exactly like, gerrymander. I mean, that's what it is. It's
sure,
making it to where
yeah,
their party is going to be able to get more votes. I understand it's a reaction to Texas, but part of me is like, hey, let it lay where it lies, dude. Do a
yeah,
fucking better job. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, and that's on both parts. I'd be doing that the same thing with Republicans. If you guys are losing ground, dude, do a fucking better job.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
pass legislation nationally to prohibit these shenanigans. Work on
Right.
that. Work your ass off on that. Just channel your energy towards
Right.
that.
Right.
I mean, it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing to have like I just pisses me off. The whole
Yeah.
thing pisses me off. I mean, and,
Yeah.
and voters, right? They're confused. It's like, what do we do on this? Like,
Yeah.
what do we do?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's where I'm at. I try to figure the stuff out, but it really gets to the point where you don't know where to go anymore. You don't know because you're looking at both
yeah.
sides and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just
Sure.
it's a red and a blue, but when it really comes down to it, it's lifelong politicians that aren't giving us any hope or any type of like I don't see anything in the future that makes me go, okay, California is going to be a better place to live.
Mm.
We
Right.
watching people leave and you're like, I'm not leaving. But I also am like, man, my electric bill's gone up. They're talking about some crazy stuff with my water bill. And
Right.
it's just they
Yeah.
keep piling this stuff on and you're trying to watch and you're just like, I don't even know what to do
Yeah.
anymore, man.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is sad.
Yeah.
On that positive note,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so here's what I do want to end on a positive note. How can the normal public, the normal people, make the most effect getting a hold of their politicians and letting them know what the important things are? What are the most effective methods
great question. So,
besides stop paying fucking taxes? Oh,
no, great question. Talking at them in social media, not necessarily effective. It's often run by some 22-year-old kid who's just
sure.
looking for hits or for clicks. You know, trying to. I was, I'm old fashioned, but I always answered every email. That set me apart, and I realized I was probably one of the only politicians. I got 58,000 emails a year. My staff. No, but listen, my staff made the first pass. They grouped them by issue, and then I would approve the response to every issue. And some I would actually write myself and actually get back to them like that. But an email is the most effective way.
Okay.
If you can somehow get a good email address for them or their staff and say this, and you know what? The other thing is demand a meeting. They are there to serve you, to represent you. Demand a meeting. I don't care. I don't care if anybody listening says, "Oh, I'm just a nobody." Like they should. No, demand a meeting. Tell them what church you're active in. Tell them what synagogue you're active in. Tell them what union you're active in. Tell them what media you're active in. Tell them what clubs you're a member of.
Right.
And say, as a representative, because then the politician is thinking, "Oh, 500 votes, not one vote," right? And say, "I want to meet with you. I want to meet with you and talk about blah blah blah. I want 15 minutes." I never turn down a meeting like that. If a constituent of mine, one of the 500,000 people said, "I want a meeting with you 15 minutes." Yep. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And that's what politicians should do.
Yeah.
And make your opinion be known, because it's,
Otherwise they're operating in their bubble, right? I mean, that's what
Precisely.
it is, So
Precisely.
well, dude, I really, I know you got to get out of here. I really appreciate your time, dude.
Yes.
Likewise.
We would love
Yeah,
to have you
it
on
was awesome.
anytime. You know what I mean? Maybe every once in a while for an update on what the fuck's going on around here. Is there
Sounds
anything
good.
you got going on that you want to throw out for now?
Nothing. Just
We're not
it's an
going
honor to
to
talk with you.
going to see
And
Gatto 2028, dude. Come on, you got it.
I would, I will be back at some day. It's a matter of when, not if. But I got to see where the country's headed before I jump back in. I want to make sure that everything's all right.
Yeah. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks, brother. Appreciate
Likewise.
it.
Thanks, guys.
All
Have
right,
a great
brother.
rest of your
I'll
night.
talk to you.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care.